A longtime rival of Sean Diddy Combs isn't holding back his feelings on the embattled rapper and producer. Curtis Jackson, better known as 50 Cent, has spoken out and at points even trolled Diddy numerous times before and after Diddy was swimming in several lawsuits for alleged sexual misconduct. Now, in a new interview recently published by The Hollywood Reporter, the Get Rich or Die Trying rapper isn't mincing words on how he really feels about his arch rival.
Diddy is spiraling. The mogul who once stood at the top of the music world, untouchable and unshakable, is now facing the kind of exposure that no amount of money or power can stop. And this time, it's not a lawsuit, not a rumor, not a vague accusation whispered in industry circles. It's 50 Cent, the one man who's never been afraid to speak when everyone else stays silent. The man who thrives on
he's been accused of. While referring to Diddy as his old moniker Puffy, 50 Cent said, "I've been very vocal about not going to Puffy parties and doing stuff like that. I've been staying out of that stuff for years. It's an uncomfortable energy connected to it." When asked if someone told 50 Cent if the energy there was off or if he went to something that felt odd, 50 replied, "He asked to take me shopping. I thought that was the weirdest stuff in the world because that might be something that a man says to a woman." He would go on to say, "From that, I wasn't comfortable around him." 50 Cent would go on to discuss the brutal hotel surveillance video released in May, which showed the Bad Boy founder horrifically attacking his ex-girlfriend Cassie. That incident was mentioned in Cassie's now settled lawsuit against Diddy, in which Diddy allegedly paid $50,000 for the tape. Once that video was made public, Diddy issued a public apology. However, didn't mention Cassie by name. As it's been reported, Diddy is no longer able to say her name publicly as a part of their settlement.
I was f***ed up. I hit rock bottom. But I made no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy, and go into rehab. Had to ask God for His mercy and grace. I'm so sorry. But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
The video was published to Diddy's Instagram, but has since been scrubbed from his page. Diddy's rival 50 Cent had choice words about the brutal video, saying first he denied that even happened, and then the tape comes out, so that means everything that N-word says is a lie. When someone watches that, if they have a daughter and they can imagine her being under those circumstances, that stuff is crazy. Like they let him get away with it. With all the influence and power you have, the person you're with is supposed to be a part of your life, not be forced. 50 Cent has long touted his plans to make a docuseries about his longtime rival. When asked what made 50 want to produce the series, he replied in part, "I'm the only one from hip-hop culture that's produced quality projects."
who never backs down, and who's now publicly promising to burn down Diddy's empire with the truth. According to insiders, Diddy has been in full-blown panic mode ever since 50 Cent dropped a series of cryptic posts that hint at horrifying secrets from Diddy's past, secrets that could destroy everything he's built over decades. And if anyone knows how to hit where it hurts, it's 50, because while others might fear Diddy's connections, his money, or his reputation, 50 Cent doesn't fear anyone. Behind closed doors, reports say Diddy has been pacing, furious, paranoid, demanding his legal team find a way to silence him. But it's too late. The internet has exploded, and 50's words have already spread like wildfire. Fans and insiders are dissecting every sentence, every caption, every clip, and what's being uncovered paints a disturbing picture of what could be Diddy's final downfall. 50 Cent's been hinting for months that he knows things the public hasn't heard, details about private parties, violent outbursts, and behind-the-scenes manipulation that make even the recent lawsuits look tame. And while he's always been known for trolling his rivals, this time feels different. This time, the tone isn't playful, it's calculated, it's surgical, like a man who knows exactly what cards he's holding. and is ready to play them at the perfect moment.
Of lawsuits, Diddy's famous friends have kept noticeably silent on the allegations he faces. That's except for one famous friend, Stephen Jordan, aka Stevie J, who's Diddy's longtime friend. After Rodney Lil Jones Jr. filed his federal lawsuit against Diddy earlier this year, in which he referenced Diddy's infamous parties as seemingly the scene of a number of the allegations he now faces, including sex trafficking, forced drugging, and compromising footage of celebrities that have been held as blackmail. Stevie J seemingly responded with a post to Instagram with the caption, "This is what a real Diddy party looks like." The video showed a number of famous faces, including Jay-Z and Beyonce, Kim Kardashian, her then-husband Kanye West, Naomi Campbell, and several others who were all together to celebrate Diddy's 50th birthday in 2019. Fast forward to 2024, 50 was asked why there have been so many silent voices when it comes to celebs speaking out about Diddy, as if they're afraid to speak up. 50 replied in part, "Some of them were involved at the parties and enjoyed themselves, so they don't know what the F is on the tape or what's not on the tape, so they're not going to say anything because they might have had too much fun." And then you've got other people who look at it and go, "Well, that's not my business and I don't want to be in it." Then you got a part of our culture that says that's snitching or dry snitching. It's uncomfortable for me to say what I said because I've been saying this stuff for 4 or 5 years. Everybody else is not going to be as comfortable as I'm saying it. 50 Cent then alleged there's one famous friend that is aware of Diddy's alleged disturbing behavior. R&B legend Mary J. Blige, who got her start at Diddy's Bad Boy Records, has been a longtime friend of the embattled rapper and producer, but she reportedly has a great relationship with 50 Cent as well. When asked if Mary J. Blige reached out to 50, he responded, no, you know what? Mary never reached out to tell me not to F up Puffy because she knows he does that stuff." As Diddy and 50 Cent have long been in the rap game, they share another commonality, and that's 50 Cent's ex-girlfriend and the mother of his youngest son, Daphne Joy Navarez. The actress and OnlyFans model was named in Rodney Jones' suit against Diddy, as she was referenced to as an alleged sex worker of Diddy's that also gets paid a monthly stipend. She has denied and seemingly poked fun at the allegation of the mother of his son being an alleged sex worker. In a post made to his social media page, 50 wrote a caption, "I didn't know you was a sex worker, you little sex worker, LOL." But this would prompt Daphne Joy to respond to her ex again on social media, but this time would accuse 50 directly of rape and being abusive during their relationship. She would write in part, "Everything is a joke to you until our safety is compromised, which is happening now. You are wreaking real havoc, frenzy, and chaos onto people's lives. How would you feel if Sire was the one in handcuffs for nothing? Let's put the real focus on your true evil actions of raping me and physically abusing me. You are no longer my oppressor, and my God will handle you from this point on. You have permanently damaged the last hope I had for you as a father to preserve our family with these last and final false claims made against me. You have broken our hearts for the last and final time."
He's already said too much for Diddy to relax. He's claimed there are videos, witnesses, and proof that could end the game for good. He's hinted that the walls are closing in, that Diddy's secrets go deeper than anyone realizes, that people at the highest levels are about to get dragged into the storm. And what's worse for Diddy, he can't stop him. He's tried intimidation before. He's tried silence. But 50's not someone you can scare into submission. Sources close to Diddy say he's furious, not just because of what 50's saying, but because he knows it's true. The timing couldn't be worse. His legal situation is crumbling. His reputation is in freefall. And now, the one man who's been sitting on years of information is stepping forward just when Diddy's at his weakest. There are rumors that 50 has been working with journalists and investigators behind the scenes, feeding them information and documentation that could tie directly into the ongoing federal investigations. Allegedly, some of what 50's been hinting at lines up with evidence prosecutors have been quietly compiling for months: communications, photos, and testimonies that could open up entirely new charges. The fear inside Diddy's camp is real. One source said he hasn't been sleeping. He's calling meetings in the middle of the night, trying to find out who's talking, who's leaking, who's feeding 50 this information. His paranoia's off the charts. He's reportedly lashed out at former associates, accusing them of betrayal. Some have even gone into hiding. But what
accused Diddy of orchestrating the murder of death row rapper Tupac Shakur, who died in 1996 in a Las Vegas drive-by shooting. This is Dwayne Keefe D. Davis. He was arrested in September 2023, and he is the only person facing charges related to Tupac's murder. But 50 Cent has continued to push the allegation that Sean Combs either knows something or did something for Tupac to end up dead, though Diddy has denied that. But in a 2023 Instagram post, 50 wrote, "Damn, so Pac got lined by brother love, LOL, time to lawyer up, expletive, might get sticky," with a pic of Suge Knight in a car with Tupac. Diddy, who has a lot of names, Puff Daddy, Puffy, Puff, and brother love is one of those other names. Now, from Diddy's side of things, again, he's denied having anything to do with Tupac's murder, and he's also denied having anything to do with Christopher Wallace's death, and he's denied publicly having issues with 50 Cent. Here's what Combs said when he was asked about a beef with 50 in a 2018 interview with the radio show The Breakfast Club, Power 105.1 FM.
Hey, yo, I don't have no beef with
I don't know why.
With Fifth. He loves me. He loves me.
Do y'all really
can't
have
see
a
it?
beef?
I mean, y'all can't see it.
No, we can't see
Y'all
it,
can't
man.
see that he loves me?
But see,
You really think that's hate?
If you look at 50's social media, you can see he has a lot of posts about Diddy. And this is what he posted the day that federal agents in Miami raided Combs' mansion ahead of his arrest on the charges that he's now on trial for. 50 Cent posted on X, "Now it's not Diddy do it, it's Diddy done. They don't come like that unless they got a case." 50 Cent also included a link to his G-Unit clothing brand in that post. While Diddy in the Breakfast Club clip said that 50 Cent actually loves him and there was never a beef, on the stand this week, Capricorn Clark said otherwise. Clark said that she was at this press event at MTV with Diddy and 50 Cent was also there, all of this happening in New York. Clark said, quote, "After the interview wrapped up, myself, Puff, and Chris Lighty got in the elevator." Clark said that Lighty was an entertainment manager who, on paper, was managing Diddy at the time, but was also 50 Cent's manager at the time. Prosecutors asked Clark what happened in the elevator, and she said, quote, "Puff told Chris, because they were having some sort of issue, like, I really don't like all the back and forth. I don't do that. I like guns." The prosecutor then asked, "What's the issue with an individual?" And Clark responded, he had an issue with 50 Cent. She said Combs was very serious when he said that. In this case, it has become common to hear testimony from witnesses about alleged threats by Diddy. In fact, several witnesses have said that Diddy regularly threatened to fire people, to beat people, like his former girlfriend Cassie Ventura, and in this case, making a threat involving firearms to settle a dispute, per the testimony of someone who was one of his closest associates for more than a decade. Invoking gun violence and some sort of veiled threat, that could be scary for some, but apparently not 50 Cent. On Instagram, 50 posted right after his name came up in the courtroom, quote, cut, wait a minute. Puffy's got a gun? I can't believe this. I don't feel safe," with a picture that looked like an AI image of 50 Cent on a movie set looking serious.
What makes this worse is that 50 Cent isn't bluffing. His reputation in the industry isn't built on lies, it's built on precision. He doesn't fire unless he's ready to hit the target. And right now, his target is Diddy. He's made it clear that he's done protecting him. He's even teased that he's been collecting receipts for years, waiting for the day Diddy's empire started to crack. That day, apparently, is now. People close to 50 say this isn't personal revenge, it's exposure. He's been saying that too many powerful people have gotten away with too much for too long, and while others play safe, he's going to be the one to pull the curtain down. The tone of his messages isn't playful anymore, it's almost prophetic, like a man who knows he's holding the truth and is finally ready to unleash it. Diddy's reaction, meanwhile, is getting darker. He's reportedly yelling at his team, accusing them of incompetence, saying they should have shut 50 up years ago. He's even considering filing a defamation suit, but his own lawyers are warning him not to. They know that once he does that, discovery laws kick in, and that means 50 would be legally allowed to present evidence, real evidence.
I think it goes to the overall case. They've been saying that Diddy was a dangerous guy. If he made a threat, he could back it up. And I do recall reading that she said that his demeanor was very, very serious. And knowing his history, his violent history, knowing about the beef between Biggie and Tupac, I think that it probably frightened her. And I think that just again, her knowing about his violence, his propensity for violence, his behavior with her, his behavior with Cassie, his behavior with other employees, he's just continually reinforcing that violence. So I think it was a really good moment for the government.
Yeah, it's just, and it seems like there are these little moments along the way where there are some celebrity names that pop up. This case, it was 50
Hmm.
Cent. We heard earlier in the trial, Usher and Neo were at a dinner where Cassie was allegedly assaulted. It was unclear whether they saw that, but it was said that they were there. As far as the history of 50 Cent and Diddy, do we know how it started? I know that 50 Cent had a diss track, I think around 2006, claiming that Sean Combs knew who killed Biggie Smalls, but is there a particular incident that happened that made 50 Cent just seem to really start to come at Sean Combs?
I don't know what's ground zero for them. I've seen, interviews that 50 has given saying that it's all business with them. I know they both have alcohol lines, and I know, they're both from New York. I think 50 is maybe from Queens and Diddy is from Harlem. I don't know what their ground zero is, but I know that since this all came out, 50 has not stopped. He's been taunting Diddy online. You, of course, know about the documentary. I believe it got picked up by Netflix, and he is supposedly donating the proceeds to victims of domestic violence. Diddy has had his knee on his neck and his foot to the gas on Diddy for a while, but again, I don't know where it started.
Yeah, I mean, 50 Cent, for many people, if it was ever, there was an anecdote that came out that someone had said, oh, I like guns when talking about it back and forth, it might scare you. 50 Cent was at the Knicks Pacers game in Indiana with a free Diddy t-shirt on, sitting courtside the next day. It's different. It was, yeah, it was different. I look back, and we aired a bit kind of leading into this interview, a clip from The Breakfast Club. It was 2018, and Diddy was on the show, and they asked about the issues that he had with 50 Cent. And he said, there's no issues. I love him. He loves me. He was kind of joking about it. And then you hear these stories that come out, whether it's this one specifically about 50 Cent or just in general, the picture that's being painted by the government in this trial. For you, has kind of the image of Sean Combs and who you thought he was, has it changed during the course of what we've seen over the last couple of weeks?
Certainly over the course of what we've seen, but I think I've seen an interview where 50 said, if you want to go nowhere, go to Diddy. If you're ready for your career to die, go to Diddy. It's long been rumored that
The fear isn't about what 50's saying publicly, it's about what he hasn't said yet. Everyone knows 50 doesn't reveal his full hand online. What he puts on social media is just a teaser. The real damage comes when he hands the truth to people who can weaponize it: investigators, journalists, networks. That's what's keeping Diddy up at night. He knows the storm's not even fully here yet. Behind the scenes, people in the industry are holding their breath. Executives who once worked with both men are suddenly silent. People are scrubbing old photos, deleting old posts, cutting off contact, because when Diddy falls, he's not falling alone. 50's already made it clear, he's not just going after Diddy, he's going after the system that protected him. And let's be clear, this isn't the first time 50's called out Diddy. He's been hinting for years about things that the public brushed off as jokes. He's talked about the weird parties, the strange relationships, the dark energy surrounding Diddy's circle. But now, with Diddy's legal troubles mounting and the FBI reportedly digging deeper, those old words sound a lot less like jokes and a lot more like warnings.
Coming through, she is so afraid of this tape getting out, and it goes to the coercion aspect that Sean Combs would have released it too. What did you expect her to do when he's threatening to release it? Although, look, at the end of the day, that audio, the jury can't get past what she said and how she said it. Okay, so we move from there. Now we got to talk about Brendan Paul. This is somebody who has come up a lot in the last year, maybe even year and a half in the Sean Combs saga. His name has come up in civil suits before. He is this former basketball player at Syracuse, turned Sean Combs' assistant, testified under immunity, by the way. He was granted immunity earlier on in the week. I want to take his testimony in a couple of pieces here. So first, talk to us about who he is, his arrest, right, and how he even got hired, and then we'll talk about what his actual job duties were.
So right off the bat, the prosecution is kind of asking Brendan Paul how long he'd worked for Diddy. So he started kind of in late 2022, and then his last date of employment was March 25th of 2024. And that is a date for people who have been following this case pretty closely, they kind of recognize that date because it's around the time frame of the HSI raids on both Diddy's Miami home and his Los Angeles home. But that was also the day that Brendan Paul was arrested for cocaine possession at an airport. And it was kind of a big deal. It was a story that we had covered here at Law and Crime. And so I thought, okay, they're starting right off the bat with the arrest. I was like, where is this going? But then the prosecution kind of talked a little bit about Brendan Paul's responsibilities, his tasks, his work life, and working with Diddy. So interestingly enough, Brendan Paul, we already knew he was kind of a basketball player. He was somebody who had recently graduated college right around the time frame that he had started working for Sean Combs, aka Diddy. But also I thought something that was interesting, it seemed like Brendan Paul was kind of into music, as far as he had built a music studio from hand, I think over at maybe his parents' home, that type of thing. But he learned of the position in 2022 through Eli Maroon. And Eli Maroon, like a lot of other assistants, they've been kind of talked about, but we haven't heard from them as far as testifying goes. But it seemed like Eli Maroon was kind of the connection between Brendan Paul and him getting the job with Sean Combs. And so the jury, as well as the parties and the public who were inside the gallery or at the gallery, did see an exhibit photo of Eli Maroon. And I think an interesting point is right off the bat, Eli Maroon told Brendan Paul around this time frame to get in to get out. If you have a girlfriend or something like that, a significant other, to just break up with them, because just this is how much the job really entails. You're kind of on call 24/7. Again, something that the other assistants have testified to. But essentially, if you're working for Sean Combs, that becomes your entire life. And so Brendan Paul says that he was interviewed for the position around late October to early November of 2022, and the interview took place at Diddy's Los Angeles home. Christina Korum and Frankie Santilla were at Diddy's home office for the interview. Frankie Santilla was Diddy's music manager, and so the jury saw some exhibit photos to refresh their memory a little bit about who Frankie Santilla is, as well as who Christina Korum is. Again, a name that's been brought up pretty much every single day of trial. However, we have not heard from her ourselves in terms of her testifying. And so he says the interview was only about 20 minutes long. He was hired on the spot. He had to go home for a little time frame because his father was battling some medical issues that were going on. But then within a couple of weeks, he was already starting.
Even former insiders are starting to back up what 50's saying. Some have stepped forward, saying that the stories he's hinting at are real, that there were indeed private events that got out of hand, that people were silenced, that what happened behind those mansion doors was far worse than anyone ever knew. One even said, 50 knows everything, he's been waiting for this moment. The situation has reached a boiling point. Diddy's team is scrambling to manage the damage. His lawyers are sending cease and desist letters. His PR reps are spinning statements about false narratives and personal attacks. But the public isn't buying it. The more he denies, the more people believe he's hiding something. And 50's not stopping. He's doubling down. He's teasing that the next few weeks will change everything. He's promised to reveal what he's been sitting on for years. And with every post, Diddy's panic grows. You can feel it, the desperation, the loss of control, the realization that he's no longer the man behind the curtain. He's the one being exposed. Some people close to Diddy say he's considering leaving the country, disappearing before more comes out.
Putting pornography on because they were saying that Sean Combs kind of groomed Jane into sex trafficking. So they say that first stage, again, being the drugs, the outfits, putting pornography on, something that kind of Diddy enjoyed according to her testimony. But she said the second stage was the fantasy talk, and how the fantasy talk kind of pertained to Jane with other men, and that Sean Combs made it happen eventually. And then that third stage was using a payment of rent, because as we know, Sean Combs was paying for her rent $10,000 a month, which we learned during the trial that he's still paying for even at this time, but that payment of rent was used as leverage. And so Chrissy Slavic is like, he reminds her he can take things away from her anytime that he wants to. And so the government said that the hotel nights weren't about what Jane wanted, it was about what the defendant wanted. He made Jane sext with the entertainers because, as the defense kind of pointed out, using Jane's messages kind of in a way against her, we're saying, okay, hey, look, she's reaching out to these escorts or these entertainers all on her own. But the government is saying that Sean Combs Combs made Jane kind of sex with these entertainers, and that Jane wanted the escorts to wear condoms. However, Sean Combs didn't want them to wear condoms, and that he would be dismissive and condescending whenever she kind of was vocal about wanting these escorts to wear protection. The government also saying throughout those months, the defendant continued to dangle different carrots in her face, such as gifts, such as trips, such as shopping. And then we heard an audio message from Sean Combs to Jane where he says, you know, I'm not going to play these games with you. You'll just have silence. We can have spats, but you need to get on your job. And the government's kind of pointing out that get on your job was her doing these hotel nights. But in terms of Jane kind of voicing her opinion about not wanting to do the hotel nights, because if you go back to her testimony at the beginning, she thought initially that it was going to be a one-time thing, that at first it was exciting and taboo, and she just wanted to pretty much please her partner. But then towards the end, she was kind of voicing that she felt like these hotel nights were all that she was used for, and that she said she was saying these things about voicing her opinions, that she was saying it for months even prior to Cassie's lawsuit, where the jury was able to see some messages from Jane to Sean Combs where she says, I feel like I'm reading my own sexual trauma. On 2 of my birthdays, you forced me to perform with with entertainers. Then the jury was able to hear, you know, these audio recordings, some that we've already heard before, where Jane is saying, you know, I want you to know, and then Sean Combs kind of cuts her off and he says, are you recording me? What are you talking about? Kind of showing these different instances where it turns out she was being recorded, but that Sean Combs in a way was kind of playing it like, oh, maybe he's manipulating her because he's implying that she's recording him when truly she was the one that was being recorded on. And so then they kind of talked about after Cassie's lawsuit where Jane's relationship with Sean Combs changed. She stopped seeing him for months, but the government points out that Sean Combs told Jane to charge him, and charge him, they kind of imply that it was to buy her silence because Jane had asked for about $100,000 per year that they were together for her loss of money and her time, plus what she had to endure for these hotel nights, and kind of pointing out that charging was significantly less than what Cassie ended up getting in her settlement with Sean Combs after she filed her lawsuit. But in terms of just threats that were made too, the government point out that Sean Combs threatened to release her sex tapes to her child's father, and that the government says that Jane reached out to Christina Quorum about the threats, and that she again didn't speak with him for about 2 months after he had threatened to release these sexually explicit videos and photos of her to her child's father, and that they ended up reconnecting around her birthday, which is in February.
But at this point, it's too late. The investigations are deep, the evidence is mounting, and 50's words have reignited global attention on a case Diddy thought was dying down. Every new statement, every cryptic post adds more fuel to the fire. This is what happens when power meets truth. For decades, Diddy ruled through intimidation and influence. Now, all that influence is collapsing. The people he used to control are speaking. The allies he used to buy are turning away. And the one enemy who always promised to expose him is finally doing it, with receipts. Diddy's empire was built on the illusion of control, but 50 Cent is ripping that illusion apart, piece by piece. The mogul who once had everyone in his pocket is now the one being cornered. And as 50's revelations spread, one thing is becoming clear: this isn't just the end of Diddy's career, it's the unmasking of an entire era built on power, fear, and silence. The world's watching, the truth is spreading, and this time, Diddy can't hide behind his lawyers, his fame, or his money, because 50 Cent's coming with something no one else dared to bring, the truth that could finally end it all.